All right, let's talk about a word you probably hear a dozen times a day: e-business. It's this massive force that has totally reshaped how we live and work, and as we're about to see, it is so much bigger than you might think. Okay, let's get into it.
So, let me just ask you this. When you hear the term e-business, does your mind immediately jump to, adding something to a shopping cart and hitting that buy now button? And look, if that's what you think, you're not wrong, but you're only seeing the absolute tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, because behind that one little click, there's this massive, incredibly complex world whirring away in the background. This is where the real magic of e-business happens, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so let's get a proper definition on the table. E-business, or electronic business, is the entire shebang of doing business online. Now, the most important part of that definition is that it goes way beyond just buying and selling. We're talking everything from customer service chats to collaborating with partners on a whole other continent.
A really great way to picture this is to think of e-business not as the digital storefront you visit, but as the entire engine running the whole operation. Things like an internal system that automatically tracks inventory, or even a virtual training program for new hires. All of that stuff, that is the heart of e-business.
So this brings us to a super common point of confusion. What's the real difference between e-commerce and e-business? Well, think of it like this. E-commerce is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. It's the transaction part, the buy now button. E-business, well, that's the whole puzzle. It's the grand idea of using technology to transform every single part of a company.
So what? Why does this even matter? Why is thinking in terms of this whole engine, this big e-business model, so incredibly powerful for companies today? Well, let's break down the advantages.
First up, and this one is huge, e-business completely demolishes geography. A small local shop is no longer stuck just serving its neighborhood. All of a sudden, with a website, its potential customers are, well, anywhere in the world. The walls just disappear.
And it's not just about space, it's about time too. An e-business is never closed. It's running 24/7, ready to help a customer in New York at noon and another one in Tokyo at midnight. That whole idea of business hours, it just kind of melts away.
Now, this one is a massive deal. Running an e-business is almost always way cheaper. I mean, think about it. You don't have to pay rent on a physical store. You don't have all the overhead costs for utilities that come with a brick-and-mortar spot. This just shatters the barrier to entry for so many new ideas and entrepreneurs.
Okay, so we know what e-business is, we know why it's so beneficial, but it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The type of model a company uses really comes down to one simple question: who is interacting with whom?
You're going to run into these four main models pretty much everywhere. You've got business to consumer, or B2C. That's the one we're all familiar with. Then you've got business to business, B2B, which is kind of the silent giant of the online world. There's also consumer to consumer, C2C, the marketplace model. And finally, a really interesting one, consumer to business, or C2B.
B2C is the classic online shopping we all do, right? You buy a book from Amazon, you order food from a local restaurant's app. It's a straight line from the company to you. But then there's the hidden giant, B2B. That's when businesses sell to other businesses. Think about a software company selling its product to a hospital, or a parts manufacturer selling components to a car maker online. The amount of money moving in B2B is absolutely staggering. It just happens behind the scenes.
Now let's flip the script. C2C is when you sell your old phone on a site like OLX. You're the seller, another person is the buyer, and the website is just the middleman connecting you both. But it gets even cooler with C2B, or consumer to business. This is where you offer a service to a company. Maybe you're a freelance photographer selling your photos to a marketing agency. In that moment, you become the business.
So for any of these models to work, B2C, B2B, all of them, there's an incredible amount of technology humming away behind the curtain. So what are the key pieces of tech that actually make all of this possible? Over the last decade or so, it really boils down to three major trends that changed everything. First, cloud computing, which handles all the data and the applications. Second, mobile apps, which literally put these businesses into the palm of our hands. And third, digital marketing, which is how these businesses connect with all of us online.
Out of those three, you could easily argue that cloud computing is the most fundamental. It's the bedrock that so much of modern e-business is built on. So let's just take a quick second to figure out what the cloud actually is.
In simple terms, the cloud is really just a network of powerful remote servers that you tap into over the internet. So instead of storing all your data and running programs on your own computer's hard drive, you're using this massive shared system. That's what gives it so much power and accessibility.
And what's wild is that this isn't some brand new idea. While it feels very modern, the core concept has actually been around for decades. I mean, companies were pioneering this stuff, delivering really complex software through a simple website all the way back in 1999.
The cloud is typically delivered in three main layers. At the bottom, you have Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS. This is basically like renting the raw hardware, the servers, and the storage. Up a level, you have Platform as a Service, or PaaS, which gives developers the tools they need to build their own applications. And then, at the very top, is the one you probably use every single day.
Software as a Service, or SaaS. When you use Google Apps or a company uses Salesforce, that's SaaS. You're using a complete, ready-to-go software product delivered right to you over the internet. There's nothing to install, you just log in and get to work. It's the ultimate form of digital convenience.
So there we have it. We've seen that e-business is so much more than a storefront. It's the entire engine. We've looked at all the different models, from huge B2B deals to you becoming your own C2B service. And we've seen the incredible cloud tech that powers it all. So the only question left is, knowing all of this, if you had these tools at your fingertips, what would you build?